Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. It is April 13th. We just had Easter Sunday yesterday, so I hope everybody had a great family day with the people that you live in your house because other family members couldn't come and visit, unfortunately. So I hope that that day was pleasant for everyone. Okay, so today we're just gonna go ahead and talk about some basics that don't really get talked about a lot. Many of you guys kind of figure it out on your own and have been doing this, but I wanted to make sure that the people that are doing it are also passing these tiny little messages on to tricks and tips onto your team members. Because as the business grows and time goes on, these tiny little details will make a difference. Just when you come across people that have been around for a long time, and there are some things that I've been noticing in my business, and it's interesting that I've had strategies set up, but I may have stopped them along the way, and then I realized how important they were when I stopped. Sometimes it doesn't really show up that fast in your business, but you know, later on, and they're just minor details, but they really do make a difference in how you kind of run in your business and how you keep up with your people. So this one, the first one I wanted to talk about is basically just kind of a rule of thumb as far as receiving payments. There's a lot of direct sales companies out there that encourage their consultants to buy product first and then pay, let their customers pay later. The reason why is because they want their consultants to kind of get their quota in faster, and they're not really, not to say anything bad against other companies, but the companies are more interested in making sure that the consultant gets their quota in than worrying about whether, their customer can keep up with the payments and the money and that are actually getting the product sold, if that makes sense. So an example, is, I'm just going to use another company for an example. Again, not trashing the company by any means. It's just an example of how they work and how it's very different from ours. So Mary Kay, for instance, has a quota for their company for products, and they encourage their consultants to buy the stock so their customers can have their products on hand. Great for the customer if you happen to buy what the customer wants. So then you're going to have to figure out what all your customers buy, how often they want it. Now, our products are very different, and that's why I want to make sure when you have a consultant that comes from another company, especially like that, like Mary Kay, is to really explain to them the difference between the two product lines. They're both consumable, which is awesome, and they are actually both kind of a personal product, but ours are more broader, meaning it can, the personal fragrance and preference of the customer is stretched out between the whole family because it's a household consumable product. So when you're buying a Mary Kay product, for instance, and I use it, just so you guys know, the skincare that I use and some of the makeup, I actually use Mary Kay. So I'm not knocking Mary Kay in any way. My aunt's been a consultant for literally like 35 years. So I think it's a great product, but as far as the strategy is that you have to make sure you really, really break down and know what each customer uses and what their actual behavior is for the product. For instance, meaning like, do they actually wash their face twice a day with my product? That's going to get me to them to be buying more product by this time. So if I stock up on it, I'll have it in stock. It's going to be sold. Now, I look at my behavior, even with my, as I'm a loyal customer to my aunt. There's weeks and times that I don't use my whole regimen because I don't put makeup on. This is I wanted to share this with you guys. It's kind of funny because you guys know my little Allie. I was like talking about how I want to start putting makeup on because I haven't gone anywhere, so I haven't been putting on. She goes, Mommy, why do you put makeup on? And I said, well, it just, covers up, kind of have a little brown spot, and this makes Mommy feel a little bit better. She's like, Mommy, you need to love what God gave you. I know, right? So I'm kind of, for her, like, not wearing makeup as long as possible to kind of try to build my own self-esteem up and, learn from my child, because you know what? They're pretty wise, right? But anyways, during this time, I'm only really using my like skincare. I'm not using like makeup products and like makeup remover and all that stuff. So even if my aunt has it down pat what my normal regimen is when I buy, it's going to be different. Okay. Now let's switch over to our products. A lot of people are not spending as much on things, on like personal stuff. Now, if like because not that everybody's going to stop wearing makeup because they're staying in their house, but it may slow their makeup process down or their skincare process down. So therefore Mary Kay consultants may end up not making as much money during this quarantine time, right? But with Scentsy consultants and Scentsy customers, they're home more often than they are. So they're going through their products more often, and they want their house to smell good to make them feel good. So if anybody's hesitating, your teams, I really encourage you guys to talk to your teams about this, because the average consultant automatically thinks, I don't want to bug, people don't have money. And that's not necessarily true. A lot of companies are paying their employees, and they're staying home. Some of them aren't even really working. They're just like checking in with a conference call once a week or something, but they're really not actually working per se, but they're still getting money, which is amazing. Or they're working from home. So there's far less people than we think that are out of jobs than we think. Okay. So anyways, back to the two comparisons. Scentsy wants you to spend your Scentsy money on your family, not your family money on your Scentsy products. So during an LTO, which just launched today, I hope you guys all got your Cinderella warmers. I haven't checked in a couple hours because Jess got another migraine and I've been sleeping, of course. And it's still available. So wow, they ordered a lot. So that's awesome. Who knows if it'll be here tomorrow. Anyways, you'll find that some consultants, because of the behavior of other types companies, they'll go ahead and buy a bunch of products thinking that, oh, I'm going to be able to sell them. I'll get my money back and I'll just have them in stock, so I won't have to rush and try to get a hold of everybody. And they may have the money that they are willing to front, but what if they don't have people that actually want to buy it? We don't want our consultants going out of pocket. Yeah, is it good for the PRV for our team wholesale volume for that month? Yes. But if we get consultants that are hurting financially because of Scentsy, because they're spending too much money on Scentsy and they're not getting it sold, guess what's going to happen? We're going to lose consultants, and it's not going to help your business, right? So you want the quality over quantity, meaning like you want, even though you may have the quantity of PRV that month, you want your quality of consultant that is going to be loyal and stick around for the longevity, because and people don't really look at that long term. So you want your consultants happy, okay? Meaning you want them benefiting from their business, not hurting from their business. Will they get a good paycheck that month because they spent all kinds of money on Cinderella warmers? Sure, but they're also out of the full amount of money until they sell that off. Yes, the commission will come back. They get a little bit of kickback from what they spent. But again, you want to really make sure that they're thinking about, am I okay if I'm out, a couple $100 after spending, a couple $100 on Cinderella warmers that I didn't get paid for? So one of the most important things to teach your team members when they first join is that you don't want them to place orders before they get their they get the payments. Now, here's the thing. If we have people doing that, it's going to be a lot harder to sponsor as well. When we are paying for, when we're having customers pay for their own products prior to placing the order, you're going to be able to transfer them into, or convert them into a consultant easier, because you're going to be able to have the conversation of you're just the middleman. That all you are as a consultant is the person that has access to the products. And so if they want to be able to get their products faster or make money off of their products, so on and so forth, you're going to be able to convert them into a consultant faster, because they see that all I have to do is learn how to place an order, and then I can place orders for my customers, my friend, people are just buying as customers, but my family, my friends. When consultants first join, or customers that are thinking about joining, they're not thinking about their friends and family that are going to order. They're literally only thinking about them, that I buy this much, so I won't be able to make that quota. So we have to talk to them about, so if you became a consultant, don't you think your mom, your sibling, whatever, like obviously the relationship, the more you have with them, their family members, if they have siblings, if their mom, dad are here in town, or if they're alive, whatever. And you'll be able to say, don't you think that do you have any sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, neighbors that you're friendly with, things like that. Now you're like opening up this door that they're like, oh, if I was a consultant, maybe they would buy from me. Now you're planting the real seed, and you're actually helping it being dug into the deeper part of the soil, right? And they're starting to kind of like, ponder on the idea. So that's why it's so important. There's just so many reasons why we want them to be placing orders only when the people buy their product. We don't want them to be out of pocket, and we also don't want them hurting their converting process, as far as, and that's just one of the converting processes, a part of coming from a customer to a consultant. You don't want your business to look like it's something they can't do. That's one of the biggest mistakes consultants make, is and it's fun. Scentsy is fun. There's so much way to be creative. And when you have that natural skill, it's awesome. But when you come across a consultant, or it may be yourself, that just is awesome with graphics, or just love to put all the fluff and glitter and whatever and make everything look like fireworks are coming off their bags. Yes, the customer care is going to be awesome. They're going to make the customers feel great. But if they ever think about joining and they don't have that desire or talent to do that, they're automatically going to count themselves out and say, oh, I can't do what Cindy does. I don't have that talent. So if you do that, make sure to have the conversation to say that this isn't required. Not everybody does that, and they do that. They have a very, just fine of a business. This is just something I personally enjoy. I personally am willing to put the work in. But for you to be a consultant and be a good one, it does not mean you have to do this, whatever they kind of, and what you're good at. What your customers are like, oh my gosh, you are so awesome at this. When you get a compliment, it's great, receive it, thank them, but make sure they automatically like whip it in the butt and make sure they know this is not something that has to happen if you're a consultant. Because you want people to think, I can do this. You want to be duplicatable, okay? So everything about your business, you want to really break down and say, what I'm doing, one, is it necessary? If it's, and what is it, how is it helping my business? Okay. And then how am I going to be able to teach it to my clients? My clients that are turning to consultants. And is it extra fluff because I enjoy it? Or do I truly think that because I'm doing this is the only reason why my business is running? And then that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the truth. That just may be your observation or what you personally think. And then it's time to, I think it's very important for everybody to stay very close with their sponsors when you're trying to grow a team, because you have that extra person to bounce off ideas, to break down your business, and to or your director, or whoever just somebody that can give you an extra set of eyes, get you extra kind of, what are you doing in your business? So they can help you kind of say, this isn't a necessity in your business. This is something that is a bonus, that it's great that you're doing, but if for some reason you couldn't do this anymore, it's not going to stop your business. So for instance, say you have the time to put all the like bells and whistles on your packaging and tons of stickers and this and that and all these crazy things you print out and takes you forever. But now all of a sudden you don't have time to do that, for whatever reason. Your life changes. You just have to get your products out. Is that going to like change your whole mood and love from your customers? Yeah, they'll probably go, oh, wow, I used to love all the glitter and fireworks used to come off my bags. Have the conversations with them, just say, hey, I love it. I enjoy it. I just, now I don't have that extra time. It's not that I don't appreciate you. And then find something that you can do that's personal, like a small card, instead of all of the bells and whistles that you normally do. That's just an example. Okay. So back to the LTOs and back to why it's important to make sure to not be buying products just in hopes that people are going to buy it. Again, you don't want to be stuck with product that you're not going to be sold, because that's going to create, and this is kind of off topic, but I don't know if anybody is aware of the dynamics of feng shui and like bad energy and everything, but basically everything has energy. Okay. And so if we have products that are just stocked up in a corner that aren't moving, nobody's buying it, you're not moving it to do events, you're not, it's just not moving. It's just sitting there, and it's just basically making you realize how much money you've spent that hasn't been sold. That's going to create bad energy in every angle, towards you, towards your family. It's going to give you bad energy wherever you're storing it. And so that's something you want to think about. So every time, and this, again, everything I'm sharing right now is something that conversations you should be having with your teams, because a lot of them are going to go, oh, I'll just buy $200 every month to be active, or, oh, I'll just buy $200 every 4 months. And every 4 months makes sense, because that's the normal consumer buys about $200 and, of products to keep them going for 4 months. That's one thing. But if some people kind of are driven to be active or to be on the chart or just to feel accomplished. And that accomplishment is, oh, I just want to be active every month. But they're not realizing that they're forking out $200 and their products are just stacking up and stacking up and stacking up. And they have no strategy on how to get those products out, how people know that the products are in their home. Again, it's also, if they're running their business out of their home and they're not teaching their customers that they can do parties, they're really defeating their opportunities to actually grow their business. Because why would I do a party if I could just come to your house and shop from the Scentsy store, right? I have a lot of products, but there are probably like a handful, if that, of customers that I have, and I have hundreds of customers that I let come and shop from my store, literally. And it's because they've been in my client for a long time. But the way we grow our business and sponsor new team members is through parties, by meeting new people constantly. If we only have the same customer coming to our house to buy their 6-pack of Clean Breeze every couple of months or every couple of weeks, it's going to be a lot harder to convert them into a consultant, right? And then also, they're not going to see how their business can actually grow. And they're not going to even venture out into that, because they're going to think, well, I only buy a 6-pack of bars every couple of months. So how the heck am I going to grow a business, right? So we're really shooting ourselves and them and them in the foot all at the same time. So remember, every customer is your future consultant. It doesn't matter if they don't join for 10 years. You're treating them like your future consultant. So when they finally join, they already have been trained. They know how you do your business, why you do your business, and the ins and outs, and they don't even know it. Excuse me, you guys know my office is so hot, so I have to turn my fan on. Okay. Okay, so LTOs, we had one today. It may be common sense to a lot of consultants that have been around for a while. You've done this for a while, but the new consultant doesn't think about the most simple way to process an LTO. Now, again, the Cinderella, we thought it was going to be kind of like Jack Skellington. He was going to like be gone in like a blink of an eye. It isn't yet, but we never know. We never know that. So the most simple process to share with your teams is to have them now. Here's the thing. We didn't have this option 9 years ago with all the different, I mean, we had PayPal, I think, I don't even remember, but now we have Venmo, Cash App, Facebook Pay, PayPal, Zelle. It goes right into your bank account to just get the cash. So you could just do one transaction instead of them putting a bunch of credit cards in all, you know, in different, you know, and freaking out and, you know, being all stressed out. Because here's the thing. If your consultant that isn't doing this as like a business in their brain and they get all stressed out over an LTO, it's going to make them less inclined to dive more into their business. It's going to make them go, oh, this stresses me out. This isn't fun. Scentsy should be fun at all times. So we need to be able to kind of break off all of the edges and the corners and the sharp edges of the business to help them make their business as smooth as possible. And these are small little strategies that, again, we in the back of our brains think is simple and easy, and we do it all the time. Thank you. And it's like again, like a no-brainer, but somebody that isn't involved in their business every day, they're not thinking about those ins and outs strategies. Oh, forgot it's out. Okay, another little strategy. Again, this is just all tiny little things that we need to be talking about that we sometimes kind of forget. When we are, we have a party going, say we have a hostess, okay, and they're collecting orders. Now that the orders are 500 and above to be free shipping, we tend to, and I'm sure you guys did it before. I know I did. But you have clients that, you know, that are outside orders basically, right? And you add it to a party because you want to make it free shipping. It's very important to make sure you put some type of a little whatever that's going to, like a symbol of some sign or whatever, in order to make sure that you remember that that customer does not belong to your host. I forget if it was last Monday or when I was talking online with you guys about how I came across a bunch of people with my hostess that's hosting right now that I've thrown on from like 9 years ago, 8 years ago, and they're customers that I don't recognize because they don't buy from me anymore. So I just assumed they were friends of hers on there, but she had no idea who they are. Well, so it's kind of embarrassing for me to be like, oh, okay, well, that must be somebody I threw on. But then it made me realize that it's customers that I'm not keeping up with because I kept all their orders with her, okay? Because this specific hostess, her customers only buy when she does a order. So I wasn't following up with those people. So an example of what I do, which is something I didn't do then, but now I do, is when it's a hostess, I will obviously put the hostess's name if they are actually their customers. But if they're not, but I'm attaching it to her party, I put the order number there. So I know that it's an outside order that I'm adding to the party. Like if it's a brand new customer that I meet that week or something, don't really know them. So then I can take them and separate them and have them, you know, with my new consultant process that I do as far as processing orders. So I wanted to share something that I do. And you guys may have already a system of some sort. This is a very basic system, but it works. I'm going to turn one light on because my migraine was hurting, but now I need some light out of my face. Okay, so I have a little color chart, and this is just for my assistant and I have one right here behind my computer for me, and then she has this. So what I do is I color code my order forms to make sure everything is done, like processed. So everything's, so Purple is a PWS order, which is normally printed out. So it's visually obvious it's a PWS order, but she automatically knows that it needs a thank you card and some type of a sample or gift mailed. And there's, she knows that it depends on a pricing. Like if it's $50 or more, it's a car bar. If it's less than $50, it's a cent circle. It's my way of thanking them for using my website, making my life easier, and kind of paying them back a little bit for their shipping payments. So they get a product out of that money they spent. I get it with my free and half off items. Orange is direct ship. So I know that if I'm writing an order form out for it, that there's no product is going to be at my house. So if I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I have this order form, but there's no product here, I automatically know it was shipped directly to them. So I don't have to think about it. And then it automatically knows that it's being treated just like a PWS order. Then I have green, which means I need to enter whatever I gave them into, it says Maven, but it's Amy. So if it's a sample, a catalog, maybe I gave them an extra gift for spending a lot of money, whatever, I write it on the order form, and it's my job to make sure I enter it into Amy, okay? And if it's not green, she knows I haven't done it yet, so she gives it back to me. Okay, now this can be your daughter, your friend, whoever's helping you. It doesn't have to be somebody you're paying with money. It could be somebody you're giving, Scentsy for. Now yellow is an order form that they bought stock on hand. So I do that for events or my handful of people that come and buy stuff from my house. So I know they need to be put into Maven, and they need to be entered, like the whole order needs to be put into Maven. Now that was, I made this before Amy was even around, and I just added that now before I had to put in the note section of the customer what they ordered in the workstation. So if I'm driving around and they ask me what they ordered last time, if you don't have Amy app, you're not spending the money on it. You could just put it in their profile, so they know what they ordered if for some reason you're not in front of their order form. Pink is a gift of some sort, so I know I have to mark that off as an expense if I'm giving them some type of a gift for my tax deductions. And so I have a scanner that gets scanned in. It's called the Neat scanner. And that's because receipts get kind of smudged off, and sometimes after a year, it's like white. So I have it scanned into the program, and then I just file it into Accordion, okay? Now, I use an app that's actually a school app. A lot of you that have kids know what Remind is. There's a ton of other texting now. I mean, I started using this in 2012. So nowadays there's a lot more direct sales. But my customers are so used to being on that Remind group that I'm not changing anything because it's working right now. So if it's a new customer, I put a blue thing, and then I have to remember to add them onto my Scentsy update group on Remind, so they get blasts when new things come out. If you have somebody that helps you with your business, I put NC for new customer and EC for established clients, so they know that when it goes to file, there's already a profile sheet. If it's a new consultant or customer, they don't have a profile sheet yet. So we put it into like a protector sheet like this and into a binder. And these are just her own notes. But a system has to be there because when I didn't have these type of systems, that's when people would fall through the cracks. Because I get a new customer, I don't really know them very well, and I didn't have a chance to build the relationship because I wasn't following up and I wasn't doing these steps. Once I did, now I can sell over $2,000 just by follow-up because, and honestly, I could do way more follow-up than I do. And I've been telling myself, you know what, you need to put more time into follow-up, you know, throughout the month. Because I would sell a lot more, honestly. It's just me being lazy. And then I put a little red mark if I invited them on Facebook. So I try to invite all my customers to Facebook as a friend, and then I invite them to my business page. And then once they bought, and they kind of have bought a lot and they become kind of like a VIP, I put them into my VIP page. I invite them basically. But this just reminds me for them to at least be my friend on Facebook so they can see me, they can see who I am as a person. And I can have access to them and see what kind of person they are and get to build that relationship and have reasons to connect with them. Okay, so basically, it's so important to not only for yourselves, but make sure that your team members, if you're not doing team calls and things like this on a regular basis where people can access the training, that, you know, because not everybody pays attention to my training because they don't know me. They know you guys, and you know, they look at you as their leader, which you are. And so, well, Facebook is just not logging on streaming. I'm going to be emailing this to everybody because the Facebook stream is not working. So, anyways, I'm really talking to you guys because you're all team leaders, and it's just important to, if your business is in a place that it's not really growing, your paychecks aren't growing, it's because one, the team isn't growing, as far as new team members, and two, they're not learning the basics in order to be at least keeping a good clientele going and keeping up with their customers. And they're obviously not sponsoring either. So there's little tiny things that these people, consultants need to know about in order to make them realize that there is strategy behind sponsoring. You know, what they do is literally how they process their orders is going to make a difference in how people observe their business. So if they don't have a consistent, like when orders come in, I label everything. Again, that's a no-brainer to a lot of us, but to them, it's not. They may literally just grab everything, put it in a bag, and deliver it. And now they just lost an opportunity for a new customer because they gave everything they bought from you went to somebody else as a gift. So those are small little things that we need to have the conversations with our consultants and just, you know, what processes do you do? What do you do when you get a customer? I will tell you, most of them are going to say, I don't know. They don't really have a strategy. And so even if you have one-on-one with them to get them going on the basics of why it's important to label, why it's important to have some type of a follow-up system, whether it's the binder system because they don't want to spend the money on the Amy app, because they don't think about this business as a consumable business that they can be placing orders every month. They think about it in their mindset as, well, I only buy Scentsy once every 6 months, or everything's I. And so they assume everybody else buys that way. They don't process that there's people that literally buy Scentsy every single month. Okay. Which is the perfect customer that can turn into a consultant because they're buying frequently enough, and you can train them to buy a bulk order. Instead of buying every month, they can save and buy a bulk order in 4 months and become a consultant. Now, you got them on board. That's just the beginning. Then they're going to realize that mom wants to buy, my sister wants to buy this and that. And you just never know who is going to turn into somebody that says, oh, I can do more with this business. That's how your business grows. And so we need to make sure that your team members know the basics as being a consultant, but also how to share the opportunity. Otherwise, your business will never grow if they don't know those basic strategies. Oh, it's you, Nina. Okay. Hi. I'm glad you got back on. I'm sorry. Okay, so I wanted to just make the rest of the time, because I kind of went over just like 3 specific things I wanted to talk about, which are basic but so important. Is there anything you guys want to chat about that you feel that are important to your business that you do, that you can share, that you think that because you do XYZ, you have a consistent clientele, or your customers tell you how great of a consultant you are, or whatever, that you might be able to share some tips and ideas that work. Oh, yes, Melissa. Thank you.
So I think a lot of it is mindset. Like mindset is a big thing that a lot of people don't realize, that we're not given a mindset when we walk into this. We're given a kit, and we have to kind of learn that along the way. So if we're not plugging into training or things to understand that mindset is a huge thing, you know, from me saying I can't sell to anybody to realizing that that's 100% me.
Right.
You know, that I like, either I'm trying to sell through my pocket, or, you know, like I think that's been a big struggle with everything that's going on with like COVID-19, that, you know, people are struggling. People are just struggling. So you think, oh, they don't want to buy from me right now. I can't make that decision for them. And in fact, my sales have been up this month. You know, right. People are buying because they're stuck at home and they want their house to smell good. And so anyway, mindset, I think, is a big thing. And that kind of falls into like team members see how, if let's say this month I wasn't doing well in sales, if I turn around and, you know, I cry down, or I cry, you know, laterally, and they say, oh, COVID-19 is hindering my sales, or this is hindering my sales, or whatever, then they're going to think, oh crap, if Melissa does well and it's hindering her sales, what's it going to do for me? And then they're going to feel yucky about it. And I think, and then customers see how you react to things as well. Like what I was texting you about earlier today, a lot of customers and people like reached out and they're like, well, you're going to do amazing because, you know, you got this, like, you know, with Scentsy. And so people have been watching me for 3 years, and my mindset, and knowing that I'm in this for the long haul, and I believe in the company, and I believe in my business, and I do the same things over and over and over and over again, even though sometimes I don't see any like response to it. Mm-hmm. Like with the catalogs, you know, I always send people catalogs. Do I always get an order from it? No. But I send the catalog, and sometimes people will order from me because I sent them the catalog. And sometimes if I send them samples, they'll order the samples that I send them. So it's like a mindset thing, and consistency, and not talking yourself out of those things. It's learning that. And then like Facebook is a big, or social media is a big like mindset thing also. If you have a VIP group or a business page, or even on your personal page, and you're sharing and you're sharing and you're sharing, and nobody is responding and nobody is liking, that doesn't mean that people aren't seeing it. They're just watching you. So you have to get into your own mindset and say, I'm doing this for a reason. This is my job. It's my task, or whatever. And then just moving, like, don't be attached to the response or the lack of response that you're getting. And that's like all mindset. I think that's so important.
Yes, I'm so glad you talked about that, about not being attached to the response, because that's probably the biggest reason why people don't follow up, is because they're worried about what the response is going to be, or lack of. And they assume that because somebody didn't respond that, oh my gosh, I'm bugging them, or they don't want to buy from me anymore, or they must have another consultant. They just, like, all the itty bitty icky committee just starts dancing on around everywhere. And it really is not that big a deal. Like one time I kind of explained it as like, we almost make it like we're more important in their lives than we really are. It's not that they're not concerned about us that much. And so for them to be, unless we're literally doing something to attack them or really do something to rub them the wrong way, they look at their phones if they get a text, and they may very well be like, oh yeah, I've been needing some wax. And then what I always say, you guys of course probably heard me say this a bunch, but you know, the milk spills. And so they put their phone down and they got to clean up the milk. And then they just forget about it. It's not because they don't want to buy Scentsy. And so it's so important for us to continue to follow up. When you don't get a response, it's not oh, that's a no. It's I'm not sure if you got my text last time, but I am closing an order. It's been a while since you last placed an order, so I just want to see if I can get you anything. most people usually go, oh my gosh, thank you for texting me again. I forgot. And yes, please do this. And so it's really just following through with your job. And so, and that's, like you said, mindset. If you think of your business as a business, you're going to do the actions like a business. You're not going to partially do the business. Like, Nina works in a hospital. She's not going to, partially treat her patients and go, oh, I think I'm done. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and just leave her there or whatever. Like, I know Cindy she's a supervisor. She's not going to partially train somebody and then just go, oh, guess what? There's a lot more you need to know, but I'm going to let you figure it out yourself. We have to think about our job as a consultant the same way, that there are things that need to happen, and all we're doing is our job. And so when we finally were able to check off all these areas of what we did, we could just say, I did my part, and it's up to them. Do you know what I mean? And one of them, which we always talk about, is they all need to know all their options, the join, the host, the buy. And once we know, okay, this person, you can make a cute little star or something on their order form of like, they know that I offered them the opportunity. So you don't have to think about like, oh man, do they know? It's been like a year, they've been buying from me. And then you start to feel bad. Like, one thing I don't think I've shared in years that I thought about the other day when it came up to my 9-year anniversary. So I was buying from somebody for 10 months, okay? Because I moved in the same time she did. We moved to New Mexico. She was actually living next door to me in the little, it's a tiny little studio apartment you get when you're waiting for your house and when you live on base. And she was the door next to me. And so we became friendly because Mason and her son were the same age. And then she was pregnant. Allie was 9 months old. So we befriended each other. And like a week after we moved into our houses, she told me she joined Scentsy. And I didn't know what it was. I was just like, okay, you guys all know that I loved it because it was wickless. But here's the thing. She never talked to me about the business opportunity ever. And she was really close to me. And she knew that I could only afford the $5 bar here, whatever. And so she knew I was cutting corners financially. And you'd think that should be the green light to say, well, what about, do you know you can make some extra money with being a consultant? That should automatically be a green light. If somebody's saying, oh, I don't have that much money this month, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to back off and not even offer products to them, that's when you say, well, I have an opportunity that you can actually make money. And most people don't think that it's an opportunity for them because guess what, guys? They think they're stepping on your toes for your business. And I know that's crazy. We're all like, what? That is what the average customer thinks. I never even thought that it was an option for me. Like, it was like, in my brain, that's Shelly's job. That's Shelly's thing. Like, that would be cool. That's great. I'm glad she's making extra money, but never categorized myself as I'm able to do it too. Like, it was an option for me. Okay. And so when I was offered the opportunity by my sponsor, a total stranger, the first thing I was doing is, oh, can you help my consultant be a better consultant? Because she kind of, she's bad. You can ask Cambry. I literally said, she kind of sucks. Like, she has bad, customer care. Like, she's the consultant that throws the bags and, the products in a bag and just throws it at you, basically. I would have to I know that it's been a couple weeks. Can I come get my products? And she's like, yeah, you can come get it. And I'm like, okay, were you going to tell me that it was there? So anyways, we have to remember that we have to give them the permission. We have to open the door to them to say, it's okay. Because they literally think they're stepping on your toes about the option of joining. And so fast forward, when I joined, I was bitter. I mean, I've learned to forgive. But in the beginning, I was really bitter because I thought of her as a friend. And I was like, why did she let me know that this whole time I've been struggling financially? I could have been building a business. I could have been making some extra money. And I would have never got to the day that my unemployment exhausted and I didn't even have money to go buy milk. Like, I was angry at this lady. Okay. But then I realized everything happens for a reason. I wouldn't have been in Becca's downline, and, she's a great friend of mine now, and everything happens for a reason. But we don't want somebody being angry at us because we never let them know that it was an option, because you just never know. They may have never even processed through their brain as an option, even though it says the joint in the catalog. You guys, I bought for 10 months and I never looked through the catalog. I just told her I want vanilla. And I didn't know we had Scentsy buddies. I didn't know we had half the stuff in there. All I knew is there was wax and warmers. And there was another consultant that I always forget about this part of my story, guys. Mason played soccer for literally a day, okay? A day. So we went to the soccer field and he was like 3 years old. And one of Mitch's coworkers' wives was the coach. She gave me a catalog, guys. Do you know the catalog went to the bottom of my, of the floor in the front seat because I knew we didn't have any extra money. And it stayed there until I threw it away. And then a few months later, so that was like, I'd say it was like 6 months. 6 months later, fast forward to reunion in August, I was walking around with a director lanyard on, and she was like, "Say what? Like what are you doing here?" And I was like, "I joined Scentsy 4 months ago." And she's like, "What do you mean?" And she knew how to contact me because our husbands worked together. She never followed up with me, never said, "Did you take a look at that catalog?" I didn't, because I never heard from her again, and I threw it away. So the catalog she gave me, I don't even know what was in it, because in my brain, I didn't have any money. So, but if she would have called and said, "Hey, have you taken a look at that catalog?" I would have been like, "Oh, well, we can't really afford it." And she could have said, "Well, if you need some extra income, I can help you with that." And I would have found a way to buy a kit, just like I did when Camry offered me the opportunity. So we have to remember, we have to think about offering the opportunity, and offering the host opportunity are the most important parts of our businesses. If we're just sticking to customers, our business yes, you're going to get a paycheck if you're constantly following up as far as an order, but it's only going to get that far. And to make your business grow, you're going to have to get more customers and work harder, and you're going to be delivering more and packaging more. And so the host and the business opportunity option is so you to create leverage in your business, so you could be working smarter, not harder. You're putting just the same amount of energy into your business, but making 3 times more, if not less. You guys, it blows my mind that I literally didn't even really show up to my business for over a year and in the last 2 years, I've been just picking up the pieces. Yes, am I in my office more? Yes, am I doing, but it's because it's like riding a bike, right? You do it because that's all. I've been doing it for so long, but there's so many intentional actions that haven't happened that actually grow the business. So I've been able to say, "Oh, I have a paycheck coming in. I'm paying my bills." And yeah, my paychecks are getting bigger over the months per the year, but they're nowhere near what they would be if I was actually intentionally taking these actions. And since I have been, I've seen a huge difference in my business too. So we have to ask ourselves, do I really want to make money with Scentsy? Do I really want to continue to work harder and end up putting more hours in to make that money? And if the answer is no, and yes, you want to make more money and you don't want to end up putting more time in than you need to, then we have to give the opportunity to everybody. Because, and another thing that people tell me all the time, "Well, what if everybody wants to join?" Honey, that is a great thing to worry about. That's a great problem to have, because it's only going to happen probably once in your career at that time. It happened to me in the very beginning. But if you are working your business consistently, you're going to still, I had 5 people join in 1 month and I still sold over $4,000. It's because I was growing. I was constantly doing, like Melissa said, doing the same things consistently. And it's just like checking off a box when you're working at a job that somebody else is the boss and they're paying you. If you have a system that you can say, check, 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 I've done this, And then on their profile, just so you guys know, I have a part that says, offered the opportunity. Did I give them a, oh, hi, baby. Oh, my goodness. Give them, do they have a join packet? And then I share with them whatever the conversation, I write down so I know how far that conversation went. So, and the thing is, if there is a book that I got, I feel like 2012 was like a huge, I got so much from that year. It was my first leadership with Becca, and I got this book called The $1 Million Year. Yeah, let me find it. I'll post it. But it's about a salesman, and he works at like a suit, like a tailor. They buy suits, they tailor it for him and stuff. Anyways, this guy walks up, he goes, I need some pants, I need some shirts, I need some ties, I need some socks, I need this, that, blah, blah, blah. $1,500 later, he's like, oh, okay. And he brings him right to the register. The manager comes over and says, that was a great sale. That was awesome. He's like, yeah, my gosh, he wanted all this stuff. I didn't, he knew exactly what he wanted. And he's like, awesome. He goes, what did he say no to? And he goes, what? He's like, well, what did he say no to? He goes, well, nothing. He's like, so you didn't offer anything else that he didn't know that he already wanted? Like, he may have not known that we had, polka dotted socks that would match his ties or whatever. And it made him realize that he closed the sale before the buyer was even done, because he figured, this is what I know I want, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want more, if that makes sense. So that was huge for me, because we realized that, and I'm not going to lie, I'm still guilty of it sometimes, guys. I'm in a lazy mood, or I'm not, whatever. But when I catch myself, it's a really big, like, wow, I literally closed the deal on that instead of letting them close the deal. And so that's with, I shared the other day about, like, if somebody's buying a lot, if you have an extra petrol party reward, just hanging out, doing not assigned to anybody, letting them know, like, hey, I'm going to give you an extra half off item because you spent so much. She ended up buying more because she bought a warmer. So she needed to buy another 3-pack for her custom. She bought a 6-pack actually for her gift she was getting with the half off item. So am I using all my resources? And so you just don't know anybody's life or situation. This business has shown me so much that there's a level of, yes, you can tell people's body language sometimes, but sometimes people, their expression on their face is the exact opposite of what's going through their brain. They may look like I'm totally not into you right now. I'm bored. I want to, leave. Nothing. They might in their brain, the look in their face made that, but that might be their thinking brain. Like, I wonder if I can do this. And they're thinking all the people in their brain of who can join, or who could buy from them or whatever. Meanwhile, they're looking at you like they're not interested. But the only way we're going to know if this is an option for them is if we make sure we give it. Because I can tell you, so many people have blown me away that I thought that they were the last person to join, and they're the ones that actually ended up becoming consultants or hosting parties or whatever. So are you asking and sharing the opportunity with every single person? And if everybody joins, that's a good problem. It's not going to last too long. But for the most part, if you ask 10 to 20 people, 1 to 2 people are going to join. And then maybe sometimes not even that. It may end up being 40 people. But at least you can say, in the end, I did my job. Right? And that's a good way to kind of get I love when Melissa calls it the icky feeling. Literally, it gets the ickiness away, because you're looking at your business as you are sharing an opportunity by doing your job. You're helping people. And a lot of people worry about, like, oh, I don't want them to think that I'm just trying to recruit them and it's all about me. If it is all about you, then it's all about you. But if your true intention is to help people, it's going to come off that way. right? And it's not your fault. I always say it's not your fault the way the compensation plan works, that if they, you know, do good, you do good business wise, but you get compensated by the effort you put into them. Right. Okay. So, yeah, please, please, please.
The last thing that I wanted to say when I first joined, there were two things that I heard that like stuck with me, and I'm so like, they still mean everything in the world to me now. And it's two things that I've heard Michelle say, and then I think Becca and probably you. One, no doesn't mean never. It means not right now. And
Yes.
I have a list in my phone that whenever like, cause you were saying like you put a star or something on your order sheet. I have
Mm-hmm.
a list in my phone, and I think I actually learned it from Christina Steinbrook. I have a
Okay.
hot list. So I
Yes.
have a list in my phone. I write the name of the person that I asked to join my team or talked about the opportunity with. I write a number between 1 and 10, 1 being like, or 0 being not interested, 10 being super interested. And then I write down the date of who I've talked to. That way I know that, you know, to follow up with them, like, oh, it's been about a month since I've talked to them. Like, you know, let's see. And then I write down whatever excuses they give me.
That's
So
good.
that way I can talk to them about it, because if it's just a matter of time and now they're stuck at home, then, you know, that's it. And then the thing that Michelle said to me when I first joined about follow-up, because follow-up used to feel very icky to me, because it was just like, I felt like I was bugging them.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just my mindset. It was because I wasn't looking at it as a business and I didn't see it as my job. But she says that it takes 7 to 9 follow-ups with people that you don't necessarily know before you
Mm-hmm.
actually get a response. And I see that all the time. And I'm so glad that she had told me that, because a lot of people, like, I think I would have wanted to stop like reaching out to them after like the third or fourth time. And it's not like, you know, I'm not being salesy. I'm just like giving them their options. Hey, we have a flash sale this month. Hey, we have a join special. If you know anybody, like, will you like let me know? Hey, how are you doing? I miss you. I haven't talked to you in a while. You know,
Right.
and there was one lady that I had reached out to, I think like 15 times over 2 years. And I don't even know why I still reached out to her. I think it became a joke, just like, oh, let's see if she responds this time. Never responded. And then there was something, when this whole thing happened, I just said, hey, I just wanted to say hi. I hope that everything is well with you and your family, that you're safe, and that, you know, you're not affected by what's going on. And she said, thank you so much for reaching out to me. It was so kind of you. And she gave me this like big old paragraph about how like people are like being really insensitive and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, here's me, the weird Scentsy lady that, you know, texted her, like text bombed her 15 times over the last 2 years, no response. And she responded. So you
Yeah.
never know when something that you say to somebody is going to strike them in a way. And
You know,
that
I'm glad.
opens up the thing to make a relationship. So
So true. And you know what? Right now, with all of the text automated things that all the companies have nowadays, I think people are kind of programmed to kind of look at what they get text from a business, and if they're not interested, they just don't respond. And so they're kind of programmed to do that with us as well now, even more. But it's so true. I heard that first when I joined too from Becca, and it once you see it in play, it makes you go, oh, okay. So you almost like are not expecting any responses until like, okay, I need to do this. And I took a course by, her name's Julie. Oh, how did I forget her name? Julie. I'll have to figure it out. Julianne Jones. She's an awesome direct sales lady. And I did a $79 program for her, and she talked about hot zones, and for even just like organizing your office, like things on your office on your desk is a hot zone of things you're going to use all the time. Things in your warm zone are things that you're going to use regularly but not every day, and then cold zone is like things in your closet you're not going to use a lot. And then you can also transfer that into your, like you said about like follow-up systems, like, okay, this person's variant. I loved how you shared that, Melissa, the 10 that you do 1 through 10. That's really awesome. But she also talked about that the follow-up system. And one of the things that it always stuck with me, and I do this and it really does work, guys, is once you get to that like 6 to 8 time, it just depends. You decide when your limit is, basically. You can say, but Melissa's also a good example, and I've actually had the same experiences that I've had like like you said, a couple years just texting, and all of a sudden, even happened recently with this whole COVID thing. But it's a way to kind of put it the ball in their court. So you do your follow-up system, And like the first one is just touching base. You can even just say, hey, you know what? It's you're just as busy as I am. You're hard to get a hold of, just like me. Hopefully we'll get together and be able to connect sometime soon. I'll talk to you. I'll try you again, you know, in a couple weeks or something. You're literally letting them know you're going to call back in a couple weeks or text in a couple weeks. And then after you decide with your own business of it's the number 6 mark or this number 8 mark, you can say, my philosophy is to continue to follow up with you until you tell me to stop, because I want to make sure that I follow through with my end of what we were talking about. Because you were at Starbucks and they said they were interested in buying Blobbity Blue or hosting a party or definitely interested in joining. So they told you that this is what their interest was. So you tell them, my philosophy is to continue to follow up until we connect. So you're telling them that I'm not assuming you're ignoring me. I'm assuming we're not connecting. So I'm going to do my part until we connect. And then you're basically telling them, if you don't let me know to take you off my list, I'm going to continue to follow up until you tell me to stop or we connect. And I can tell you that some people, it's actually a great feeling when somebody actually texts you back, I'm no longer interested, take me off. Because it's like, they're like, man, this chick is going to keep calling me and I'm so not interested anymore. And then you're not running around like a gerbil in a ball trying to chase your tail. It's like, you don't need to be following dead leads. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time. It just takes away the morale of your business and the happiness. You're like, this business sucks, because you did your part. And that's basically it. But there's going to be people that never respond. And then all of a sudden, like Melissa said, you're going to reach out and they're going to go, oh, hey, like 16 text message ago didn't ever happen. And they don't even think anything of it. You're thinking, really? But you go with it. So there's strategy behind everything, guys. And but the thing is you could learn the strategy, but if you're not putting into play the strategies, you're not going to be able to build the confidence. How Melissa finds these things that, like, oh my gosh, this actually does work, because she's learning the strategies, but then she's putting them into play. And then she's able to see how that actually works out, which builds her confidence to be able to say, okay, I'm just doing my part. I'm doing my job. I'm not like bugging people, right? So, and then when you think about it, like, hello, we have a fun, amazing product. It's not like, I always say, it's not like we're sticking a cigarette down somebody's mouth, knowing that it's bad for them and trying to make them smoke a cigarette when they don't smoke. Forgive me for people that smoke, but you know it's not good for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not selling something that's harmful to them. It's happy. It makes them feel good. And if they don't want it, they're going to tell you. It's not a big deal. It's not personal. That's the issue, is consultants make this business personal. It doesn't mean they don't necessarily like you personally, right? Now, yeah, there's going to be times, because you have a relationship and something goes on with your relationship, it's going to affect your business. Yes. But I will tell you, your business is going to grow from strangers, not from the people you know. Okay. So, you start with your warm market, which is the people you know, but the way your business is going to grow is when they start to introduce you to people and it's a referral program. So if you don't have a referral program in place, I would start it now, with especially what's going on, because now using the people that already buy from you and getting referrals is what's really going to help you grow your business with hosting during this time, especially with online or whatever, and then also finding team members. All right, guys. Anybody have any last comments or whatever, anything to add, or before we close it up? All right. Well, as always, thank you, ladies, for being on with me live. And if you have any questions, you're watching this recording, either email me back or you can, bye, baby boy. You can email me back, or I always have a link to schedule time with me if you want to set up some coaching, or reach out to your sponsor. And I'm sure you guys can do some powwows as well. All right. Love you guys. Have a great week. Bye.